Oh my goodness, I've been so busy today. But it's 1 a.m. again, so what can you do? Where did I leave off? Let me see. I've gone through a lot of this notebook. I mean, look at that. Okay. Oxytocin makes us better people and also improves our performance. Yeah, so apparently we are kinder people when we have oxytocin, and we become much more selfish, and we just look out for ourselves if we're low on oxytocin. And also it makes us more, it makes us more, it improves our ability to focus and not be distracted by, for example, perceived threats, because like oxytocin is like the counterpart of, like, it counters cortisol, kind of. So that's why human relationships are the most important. Cortisol inhibits oxytocin and therefore blocks empathy and promotes selfishness. Okay, so it's the other one. Cortisol is the counter to oxytocin. But that also means that if you, cortisol is important for danger management, but in the modern day, it's very important to manage what you allow to raise your cortisol levels, and the emotional management of deciding that these things that stress you out or make you angry aren't worth the stress or making you angry, to control what actually gives you cortisol, so that, again, puts the space between stimulus and response. And for example, let's say you see some comment on the internet by some YouTuber, not even on your video or whatever, you just see someone talking to something and it makes you angry that these people believe that. It's like, that is the stimulus and that is the response. You can take the space between the stimulus and response and go, that's stupid. Like, me being angry over that is like literally me going on the internet for the sake of raising my blood pressure. It's so asinine, and like don't do that. Okay. Fake status symbols don't trick ourselves. Okay, so if you here, okay, so this is all about, obviously, leadership and Simon Sinek's Why Leaders Eat Last. So this is talking about how, for example, leadership is tied to how you help people, and as a result you gain alpha status, right? Whereas now you can gain alpha status through fame and popularity, or like fame and company titles, but people will get angry if they try to execute alpha rights because they don't uphold alpha responsibility, basically. For example, when the higher ups sacrifice their people to increase their bonuses, that's why we get angry. Whereas a good leader who, is just taking the money they deserve, we don't actually care that they earn that much money. It's just when they sacrifice their people to make the money, or they don't actually do it for the better of the company or the people. Fake status. Okay, so about the fake status symbols that don't trick ourselves. So for example, we crave status, like serotonin, that literally we are biologically geared to want status, desire status, and enjoy status. And here's the thing, artificial status, people also seek it through artificial ways, as for example, when you don't have the status from within, like you didn't earn it through, well, helping all of those around you, doing your best for those people, and you come to feel as an entitlement or feeling that you need it, you start to be very aggressive, and you can be very, you become a very aggressive person. You get very angry. You get angry very easily. You take things out on people who you perceive to disrespect you simply because they don't show you enough respect to make you feel, stronger. And that's how you get these kind of like the stereotypical asshole that you might see as the throwaway villains. You can see as like the father who won't let their child, like the bad fathers in shows, which by the way sometimes what the child wants is pretty stupid, but like the way they set it up, especially in Chinese settings, if you've seen the Asian dad in these ones that are like with the scary faces are real actually, but I mean they're not always wrong, but a lot of the time they are. In the shows, at least, they use a very they show the shows from the perspective of the kid, so to make the parents seem worse, of course. But point is that if you come to seek status through artificial means, whether it's how other people treat you, or if you ever say sorry. Like some people will get very angry at the prospect of saying sorry because that lowers their status. Or maybe if you get status through a bunch of internet likes. The thing is that it doesn't actually make you feel good inside. Like you want it and you get angry if you don't get it, but it doesn't actually make you feel good, and that's the point. It doesn't make you feel fulfilled. It doesn't make you walk around in a good mood. It actually makes you irritable. Because you're always looking for signs that they're not treating you with sufficient respect, and then you get triggered because your feeling of status is linked to how you believe other people perceive you, and not about how you feel and how you treat the other people and how they in turn treat you. Distraction is an internal emotional state that we seek escaping, the internal emotional discomfort. This one is no longer from Revisited Last. This one is different, but anyways. Phones are a tool we use for the escape, but not the root cause. So when we feel a discomfort, we can reach for our phones. The thing is that before we didn't have that, something so convenient and engineered for this case to reach for in the past, so we ended up having to sit in it. But when we have this tool and we end up using it and we exercise our right to use it over and over again, that's how we build the addiction. And in this case, the addiction is just the reflex of reaching for it. And it's a reflex that's hard to break, for example. I mean, it's not always the phone. Maybe it's an app on your phone. I regret 50% of what I say and how I say it within minutes of saying it, or within seconds, or sometimes an hour later, sometimes a day later, if I remember it. And so this is a sign of learning to shut up and think more, or to simply practice speaking more. In a case where it doesn't matter if you regret it, which is what I'm doing, but learn to shut up more. I'm also doing that actually. Okay. Let's talk about, so now the next few videos are going to be a summary of the book Management Mess to Leadership Success. 30 challenges to improve your leadership skills, or something like that. 30 challenges. I didn't record all 30 because a few of them weren't as applicable, and like they're not that they're not useful, but like they're a bit more leadership focused. And I'm focused on things that can be applied to yourself as an individual, even though these are all leadership lessons, but most leadership lessons can be taken for the self. That's why I'm reading a lot of books on leadership, because I'm trying to learn to lead myself. The first one is Humility and Perspective, which is the one I read a while ago, but I will read it again. I don't actually know what page it's on, but I remember it. Has your lack of humility ever limited your perspective and influence and consequently your ability to influence your team. And if so, would you have noticed? And the answer to the first one is yes, and the answer to the second one is no. If humility is not the opposite of confidence, humility comes from confidence. Humility means to understand that others have things of value to say. Humility is understanding that speaking more is not as beneficial to you as listening more, even if you know more than they do. And the reason it comes from confidence is because the urge to always speak is this desire for, well, I guess similar to status, or desire to one-up someone, or maybe you're trying to express more of yourself. But when you have confidence, you don't need to express more of yourself because you're confident with yourself. It's internal. You don't need to externalize it. You don't need other people to, you don't desire or require these people to understand you, because you know that as long as you have the right people to understand you, then it's fine. So then you're ready to listen more. Okay. So his story is that he came into a new leadership position and he was simply furious that like he showed up an hour early to his new leadership meeting, or like new leadership position, and it was a meeting he hosted, and he was furious that they were slowly trickling in, or they weren't all there when he was. Like, he came into an empty room and people slowly showed up, and he didn't even remotely try to understand their perspective. He was entirely focused in this feeling of, I'm new, I'm their new leader, they should respect me, they need to demonstrate it by showing up here before I'm here. And so the fact that I'm here before they are is a sign that they don't respect me, they look down on me, they are diminishing me. And it was this very externalized feeling of status, confidence, and externalizing the power over how he feels about the situation as well. He's projecting their actions as a direct affront to him, and not even trying to take off his glasses and go, this is the situation, what's going on, and actually analyze it from a third-party perspective. Second, scarcity versus abundance mindset. Unless you define what enough is, you will never have it. Without defining enough, you will always fear not having enough, creating a scarcity mindset. This will affect your functionality and teamwork, feeling guarded against those around you because you're afraid that there's not enough to go around, and if everybody gets more, that means you get less. Because you haven't defined how much is sufficient for you, what is required for you to reach that goal, and how everybody can get enough and you can still get enough for what you want. So if this scarcity mindset affects your ability to your teamwork, it makes you guarded against those around you. The basis of your decisions, even subconsciously, will not prioritize the interests of others from the insecurity of needing more. Now, it's not necessarily your fault, because if the company environment, maybe there's always layoffs, then yeah, if other people do better, that means you're more likely to get laid off, or if, you get the idea. I'll stop here for today, as I have very little time, but we will be continuing the series for this book tomorrow.